Alright, so here is part number 2 of our video explaining what has been happening to us and what went wrong. My name's Sam.
I'm Jen.
And our channel is Flippin' and Trippin'. We are full-time RVers with our kids, 2, and our dog.
Our 2 kids?
Our 2 kids, sorry, blah. And I resell full-time on eBay to fund the whole journey. Our channel is mainly about eBay, but we are trying to start doing some more of the personal side and the RVing side of life. So this is part 2 of the video, kind of explaining how everything went wrong for us, and it almost made us want to stop RVing within our first 6 months. So when we stopped talking last,
we're talking about we got into Santa's Bay,
yeah.
And now we have to the truck that we had just bought.
With no warranty, by the way.
No warranty.
No warranty.
And the reason we didn't, and I know people are going to comment and be like, well, you should have bought the warranty. Well, because we bought the warranty with the last truck and things, small little things happened with the other truck. Well, smaller things. And none of it was covered. We still had to pay out of pocket.
The way everything was worded. Like everything they inspected incurred like a $450 fee automatically just for them looking at it, and then if it was something that wasn't covered, you had to pay out of pocket for that fee plus the parts and labor. So I ended up having about $3,000 worth of work done, and I had to pay like half that. This was after paying I think $3,500 for the 3-year warranty.
Yeah.
So I was
for this, the new one that we upgraded to, we decided, you know, it's not really worth it.
Hindsight 2020. They would have screwed us somehow on the warranty. Come on, they don't do those without wanting to make money. So neither here nor there. We can't fix it. It still pisses me off. But
okay, and also, just PSA out there: check your oil when you buy a new vehicle.
Yeah, which we're pretty sure that the reason why the oil pan was empty was because of what actually happened.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Make sure you check.
There was an oil change, but we don't know for sure what happened. But when we last talked, we were safe and sound in Santa Fe for the most part. We had wheels because we still had the minivan. Our RV was parked. So the first thing I did was call and talk to the RV park, explain the situation, said, hey, we're going to be here longer than we thought, potentially. And they were awesome. We kept continually having to move our stay up because we didn't want to have too many days. We just did it week to week, and they were really great about accommodating us. But it was, I think, 2 days before we finally heard from the guy, because he wasn't able to get in there and start working on it. But the thing is, he didn't even work on it. He used this tester just to see what the engine codes were, and it was something simple, like it was, needed to have a couple of the spark plugs changed, which was not unusual because it was around 100,000 miles. And then he said there's two of them were misfiring, and I think one of the distribution caps was messed up. I can't remember now. It's been a couple months, guys. So he ordered the parts and put that in. He didn't look at anything else on the vehicle besides putting those codes in. So he puts that in, and then he calls me back again, and like I think a day or two later, we were out shopping or something. I was at a thrift store with them, and he's like, I got some bad news.
Well, yeah, because he has to work. I mean, like, he still has to thrift. He still has to go out and find things because this is how we fund our life.
Yeah. So he's like, I got some bad news. I said, okay, what's this? And he said that your engine is completely locked up. There's no oil in the pan at all, and I can't even get it to turn at all. He's like, you're going to need a new engine. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, okay, I understand you can't tell me specifics, but give me kind of like a ballpark figure what you think this might be, parts and labor. He's thinking maybe 65 to $7,000. I was like, crap. Okay. Well, let me know what's going on whenever you can start getting stuff ordered. Remember, we are in Santa Fe right now. We are about 2.5 hours from where this guy is, because remember, Cuba's up here, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, Santa Fe here, mountains here. You got to go from Santa Fe down to Rio Rancho and then up to Cuba. And it's stuck in this little town. We've got no other options. We can't get no second opinions without paying almost $1,000 to get the truck towed down the Rio Rancho, because we called around. We did ask.
Yeah.
I think.
To try to get it closer to us, to try to get a second opinion.
Yeah. So this guy had us by the cojones, and I think he knew it, but we tried to play it cool. So he's like, I'm going to start calling around. So he said, I'm going to probably end up getting a crate engine off of one of the websites. I think it was TK or something like that. The thing is, they didn't have one. He's like, I was able to call around, and there's a Ford dealership that has a brand new OEM engine. The engine will be warranted for 3 years. It comes with all, engine cooler, all the stuff you need. But he's like, it's going to be $8,500 for just the engine, and then you're going to pay me about roughly $2,500 parts on labor, or for labor and whatever parts needed. The labor was actually pretty good, but I was like, man, that's really high. So I find out which dealership, he told me which dealership it was, so I called them directly. It was $8,000 for the engine, $8,100 I think was the exact total before tax. I called them and talked to their parts person, and he's like, yeah, that's the price for the customer. I said, well, how much is he paying for it? He's like $6,500. I was like, whoa, okay. I understand that mechanics upcharge for parts, and you're paying them for labor, but he knew our situation, and that was just, I find that very wrong that he was going to upcharge us $1,500 knowing what we had just gone through. So I called him back, and I played it off and was nonchalant about it. I'm like, they told me it would only be like $6,500 for the engine, if and they'll ship it to you for free. Is that still good? Like, if we can get it for that price instead of the $8,000? He's like, oh yeah, we can do that, but you're going to need to pay them directly then if you're going to do that. And then I'm not going to warranty the work. I was like, okay, I'm okay with that, because there's no way in hell I'm coming back to Cuba, New Mexico to get some work done. So I said, okay, I'll go ahead and get the engine ordered. So we got the engine ordered and had it sent out there. It ended up being close to, I think, $9,500 because of the core charge and stuff, which we did end up getting back once the old engine got delivered. So he's like, okay, it's going to take me about a week or so before I can get this in the shop and start working on it. So we had to wait. So,
we get it. Mechanics are busy. They have other things going on.
Yeah, he's the only one in the area.
Yeah.
It's a big job. It's a multi-day job.
Right.
So he contacts me. He's like, okay, we got some more bad news. Like, I'm really getting tired of getting calls from this guy. This is probably the 4th time that he called me saying something was wrong. He's like, I can't do the engine swap. He's like, your truck's too big. It won't fit in my bay. I can't get it on the lift. I'm like, okay.
Did we not know this?
You've had my vehicle for almost 2 weeks now. It's just a standard F-250 with a little bit of a lift and some, kind of aggressive tires, but it's not anything bad. I mean, you didn't know this beforehand? So he's like, I do know somebody in Rio Rancho that can refer you to. So if you want to call them, they'll have to, you'll have to work arrangements. I said, okay. So I ended up paying him like $650 for the work he had done, the codes that were being thrown before he actually got in and found out what the actual problem was. So I paid him off and got that taken care of. I think it was mainly because he didn't want to do the work because he wasn't making that extra $1,500. And honestly, this ended up being better for us in the long run. I mean, it did cost us more money, but we contacted the mechanic in Rio Rancho, but we also looked him up on Google, read the reviews. What I look for mainly is, customers saying, like, I thought it was going to be this much, or I was told by somebody else that it was going to be this much, and this, this mechanic said, actually, this is the only thing wrong with it, and this is all you need, and it's so much cheaper. Just to kind of get an idea if they're, a good shop, honest as much as mechanics can be honest, and, we weren't getting completely screwed on upcharging and stuff. So we contacted them. They actually did towing, too. So we worked out a deal to where they would actually tow it down because they were going to be doing the work on it.
Along with the engine. The engine was sent to Cuba.
Yeah, the engine, they put it with the truck and they towed everything down. It ended up, it was going to be, I think, with them, it was going to be right at, I think, 12 grand. No, I think it was going to be 11 grand. So the labor was a little bit more, but that was also with the tow down and stuff. Because what had happened was they found when they got it in there, they couldn't get the engine turned at all, so they couldn't even get to the bolts to get it disconnected from the transmission. So they were going to have to pull the engine and transmission out from the front altogether in order to get the transmission off, because they were afraid that they were going to, damage something in the transmission if they tried to do it inside there, because they couldn't get to anything. They also found out that the exhaust manifold needed to be replaced because shrapnel had gone through the exhaust into the exhaust manifold, and it was just going to shoot into the new engine and screw that up if it wasn't replaced. Because what had happened, we found out from them, was one of the valves had broken off in the cylinder, and it shot metal all through the engine, and that's what screwed it up. Bust everything, that's why it didn't have any oil in the pan. So that was what we ended up having the issue on. So when you add in the exhaust manifold, the extra labor for that, them having to pull the engine and stuff out, we ended up paying, I think, about, when you add the towing in for the fifth wheel.
Are you talking about the engine too?
Yeah.
Itself?
Yeah. Everything together, the tow for the fifth wheel, the Santa Fe and stuff, we ended up paying, I think, about $14,000 out of pocket. This was after paying $20,000 to pay off the RV. And then everything together, we made sure we had enough money to do this.
RVing is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. This didn't kill us, but man, dealing with that, so that those back-to-back things, and that's about the worst thing that can happen to you, is your tow vehicle just needing a new engine. I mean,
and just buying it.
Yeah.
Like, we're still paying on the truck.
Yeah.
And knowing that we now have to replace the engine, and possibly being stuck in the spot that we were at. Again, very nice park. Not very many amenities. Not a place I would have chosen to be stuck at for over a month.
Yeah.
I
think it was right about a month. It might have been a little short.
But with all of that said and done, it took a toll on us. Like, you have to remember that what he does for a living with eBay and everything, you have to be around places that have thrift stores, yard sales, and different things where he can get his inventory.
And we're getting into the weather to where things are cooling down up in that area.
Right.
Garage sales are getting fewer.
Exactly. And knowing, like, okay, and like I said, and I'll say it again, thank God for the van, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to go out and do the things that we needed to do. Go grocery shopping. We would have had to call somebody.
Or rent a vehicle, which would have cost us even more money top of more money.
We don't have family out that way. It's not like I could have just called somebody and been like, oh yeah, come pick us up, or hey, let's stay at your house. No, we don't have family like that.
Yeah.
So
we didn't have friends either. We didn't know.
Right. We had just got there. We were only supposed to be there for a couple of days.
Yeah, just for Balloon Fiesta.
So with that being what happened, we seriously had to sit down and be like, what are we doing? Is this something we're going to continue? Can we continue doing this with what we have, with our savings, with everything? Was this the right choice? Should we do this? That's a little scary to think about.
Yeah, and I can say this in hindsight now, but like when that first went down and we were stuck on that side of the road, I'm the type of man who thinks, like, you do whatever you got to do to make sure your family is safe and secure, and to put me in a type of situation where I have exactly no control over the situation. I'm not a control freak, but I need to know that I have options, and there really wasn't any. And I'm trying to keep my shit together when I'm going nuts inside my head, trying to keep them calm and let them know, like, hey, we're going to get this taken care of, while I'm dealing with this stuff on the phone and trying to figure out where is our house going to be at today. Are we going to be stuck on the side of the road out here and through the night with no way of boondocking? We didn't even have any water in there. Are we going to just leave it here and hope that somebody doesn't run into it in the night or whatever? Just these thoughts were going through my head, but I'm like, you know what I'm thinking in that head, I can't let that come out. I've got to keep cool, and it just, I got I honestly think I've got. I told my wife I got PTSD every time it's getting close to when we got to move now. Like it freaks me out. My blood pressure goes up, and it's probably gonna take a while before that gets down. Just because I'm a planner and I worry about everything. You know, somebody's got to make sure plan A, B, and C, and then if those don't work, D and E are in. You know. And then when we got to Santa Fe, what she was talking about, I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay.
Well, first, Balloon Fiesta. Let's do something. Let's make something cool in here. It was not all bad. The whole reason we were going there to Albuquerque was because we want to go to Balloon Fiesta. Oh man! So we ended up being late. We were going to be there the first couple of days, but with the roof repair, we ended up having to go later. So luckily, we got to go when they were having the rodeo. What's it called? The
Glow Rodeo.
Glowdio. With the special shapes day.
That was so amazing.
The Dawn Patrol. We went to a morning session and an evening session. Went to Dawn Patrol.
Okay, so from where Santa Fe is to Albuquerque, that was what, an hour and a half?
Oh, it was about an hour. Yeah. The way you drive, we got there in an hour.
So with that, for Dawn Patrol, you have to wake up early. We woke up at what, 3 a.m.?
Yeah, because you want to get there like 4:30.
Yeah, so with that, we woke up early, got the kids up, drove all the way. It's still dark. It's cold. Like we said, it's starting to get cold in that area. So we're all bundled up and we're all like very not awake and had coffee in our hands and just trying to not think of everything else that we were dealing with at the moment.
It was surreal. Like it's 4:30 in the morning and you could barely walk around. There's so many people there. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you start to see one of the hot air balloons fire up, and then there's another one, and there's another one. And just to see that as the sun's coming up.
Well, no, it's before the sun.
Well, I know.
The Dawn Patrol
but like to see them actually up in the air before, as the sun was coming up, it's like, what are we doing? Like, this is why we do this, though. This is one of the reasons that we chose. Yeah,
it was one of those moments where it's like, okay, this is what RVing's about. You're gonna get a lot of really crap times. You're gonna get some good times.
Super crap times.
You're gonna get some great times, and then sometimes you're gonna get those moments that you're just gonna remember the rest of your life. And Balloon Fiesta for us was one of those. I smile every time I think about Balloon Fiesta. They had the drone show, light show.
Yes.
And then it was pretty windy, so all the balloons they put most of them up, but none of the shaped ones actually went up. They just all blew up and flamed and stuff. But even that was just freaking spectacular.
Yeah, to see the setup that goes into all of that, the way that they have to put them all out there, and then how many people actually have to hold different things for it to go up into the air and
keep it straight when they're
and
you could be like right next to it, and you couldn't tell what the shape was until it started going out. It was
pretty,
You could sit like right next to where they were doing it. It was just,
it was that was one of the coolest things. And then our kids really enjoyed it and seeing all the different things. And then they had cards of each balloon, and so they like to go around and collect those.
Well, that was in the evening.
Well, yeah, but it was in the morning too.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Okay.
And then for them to see, things that they recognize and things that, you never think that a hot air balloon is going to be in the shape of a sloth or
the clock from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
There was literally like hundreds of these balloons that would,
And it was
so many balloons. We've gone to Bernal for their little dinosaur fest. There was, maybe 20 balloons there. This was like one of the biggest ones I think in the world. Like it was mind-boggling.
And then so that morning had passed, and we went back to the RV. I think we rested up a little bit and got some more to eat and stuff like that. But then we decided to go back that afternoon because the Glowdio? Was going on, and so we were hoping that a few more of them would get more up in the air, but it was just too windy, and that was okay because it was
I think at night they weren't gonna do the flying. They weren't gonna fly them. There was just the Glowdio. They were just doing the
I don't know, but all of them lit up while it was dark. And then with the music going on, and some of them were like, okay, do this, and it was short bursts, and you could just see all of these lights and all of these balloons, and it was something that I'll never forget.
It's not like you're just like looking at them off in the distance. Like,
no.
We were literally running, like I was like a little schoolboy with the kids running around, like getting these cards with them and stuff. Like, you're going underneath and right next to the baskets, and there's flames going up, and you know, you look
could
up
feel
and
the
see
warmth
these,
from them, which was nice.
See all these big shapes and stuff, and it was just, you know, you would get in another area and you'd see all the ones that you couldn't see behind those, and it was just huge, this field. Like, it was everywhere you turned, there was like new ones to look at, and it was great. And seeing like the smiles on my kids' faces, and it was just perfect.
It was really nice.
We needed that.
Yes, we did.
We needed that. But
And
that was before we found out the bad stuff.
Well, the extra bad stuff.
Yeah.
But and even then they had a huge stage set up, and there was music going on, and all the vendors, and just all the different things. It was exactly what we needed for, you know, for that to happen when it did. Because if we didn't have that good within all of the bad that we had to deal with, I don't know that we would have made it.
Yeah, over the next month.
Yeah.
We could think back to that, and it helped us get through that time, because she said, for us to be able to do this, I need to be able to go source. And I've talked about this in the videos, thrift stores, garage sales and stuff. Santa Fe, we were about probably 20 to 30 minutes from Santa Fe proper. I did not have a lot of luck there. There is one very overpriced Savers there. There is a Goodwill and Salvation Army that really did not have a lot of anything. They were just bad stores. They were not maintained well. They were dirty. It was those types. I felt like a wolf in a cage in Santa Fe. I could not find anything. I was not impressed with Santa Fe, I'll be honest. Not just the thrifting side, but you know, I expected a little bit more of, like, from the square and the governor's palace and all that stuff to just, you know, it wasn't that great for us. We did like the one place, it was called the Arcade. It was like an indoor little mall. They had some really cool shops and stuff in there. Especially this one that had some artistic metal
really
statues. Cool. They used auto parts and stuff to make like Transformer statues and Predator statues, and these were like freaking 10 to 11 foot tall. It was just cool. We got plenty of pictures from that, but I could not source very well. I went to 2 different weekends. I went to garage sales, and I found quite a few garage sales, but just nothing. They were just very bad sales, like clothes and baby stuff, or just little odds and ends of sales you don't like getting. And I was like, it was getting ridiculous. I'm watching money leave our account. I'm making enough money because I'm making money from inventory that I've already had and I'm listed, but I don't know what's going to happen in the next month. So this is one of those times where you've got to mentally change course. Okay, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Okay, especially when it comes to eBay. If one thing's not working, you do another. I said, okay, I'm going to start driving down to Rio Rancho, because we had gone to Albuquerque a couple times to thrift, and it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. We went to quite a few thrift stores there. I said, I'm going to go down, because we actually had some pretty good weather those last 2 weeks we were there.
Yeah.
And I went to Rio Rancho because I liked how that place looked when we were going through to thrift. I was like, you just kind of know as a reseller, like looking around, like all kinds of neighborhoods off big arterial streets. This is prime garage selling area. So when I started going to Rio Rancho, things got so much better. I made a couple of really big scores. One, I got like a bunch of Pokemon DS games, Zelda, some of the good banger DS games, along with the in the box too was probably like 20 Wii games, and I had all good titles, like the Resident Evils, Wii Sports, Resort, and I only paid $80 for it. I had to have made at least $800 just in that box. I also found another sale that had a bunch of good knives, Spyderco, that type, CV or something, I can't remember the exact name. That same place had a bunch of Hill People gear backpacks, and the chest packs and stuff. If you don't know about Hill People gear, it's a smaller company here in the U.S. that makes like higher end hiking and backpacking stuff, but it's more kind of like a preppers type thing too, bushcraft, that kind of thing. But they are worth so much money. I found like 5 or 6 packs there. Got them really cheap for like maybe $10 a piece, and sold each one for over $100. So things got a lot better once I started doing that. So that helped my mental state, because those first 2 weeks it sucked big time. But I was able to pivot, and then I started having some luck, and then we finally got the engine stuff done. The guy actually sat and talked with us for about 30 minutes whenever we went and picked up the truck, just kind of explaining everything they had done. He showed me pictures and stuff. It was a great place. Man, I wish I knew right now. I should have kept that name, but on the off chance that somebody might be in Rio Rancho and need it, it's probably pretty small. But we drove off. We have a brand new engine in the truck now. I've never seen oil so clean. I've checked it multiple times. Transmission and is the only other thing. Let's hope nothing happens.
Why would you say that?
I know. Okay. So we got out of there finally, and we were so happy to get out.
Yes.
We made another mistake, guys, and this happens. We knew the tires on the fifth wheel were bad. Okay, they needed to be replaced. They were too old, and they should have been replaced. But we were so tired of being in Santa Fe, and instead of doing what we should have done, we just said, "Okay, we'll get somewhere, and we'll get it taken care of."
Yeah. We
weren't outside of Santa Fe when the first tire blew. So I pull over. I put the spare on. The spare is pretty low. So Jen's like, "Okay, we need to get down to a gas station. We'll fill that up." Or, we'll put air in the spare.
Yeah.
So we get there and do that. And it's morning. I was still waking up. I'm already flustered. I told you the blood pressure's going up. I had put the spare on incorrectly. I flipped it around the wrong way, and I realized it. So I had to pull that tire completely off again and fix it. So we start driving again. I want to say it was an hour and a half. I can't even remember the name of the town. Do you remember the town? We were still in New Mexico. We had just passed this little town, and another tire blew.
No, we had stopped for lunch.
Yeah.
At that gas station.
Yeah.
And made sure the tires were...
I looked at them, but...
Yeah. And we're like, okay. Because we thought once we get where we're at, we can go and get a new tire.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
So we were only 20 minutes away from...
We were 20 minutes away from this town that we had stopped at for lunch.
Yeah, for lunch. It was a gas station, restaurant, whatever, combination. And we were only 20 minutes away from there. And the second tire blew. And now our spare's already on.
Yep.
So now what do? Okay, so we pull over. And we start looking, and luckily we still had internet reception because there have been quite a few times in the middle of nowheres, which happens to be where we break down, that there is no cell reception whatsoever. So getting on, we found a place. It happened to be right next door to the
gas station we stopped at.
Thank you.
Or on the other side of the road.
Yes.
They had trailer. They did a big rig and trailer work. Yeah. Thank God we found the right type of place.
And thank God we still had the van.
Yeah, this is where we lucked out.
So, we just put the tire in the back of the van. I drove
the one I'd already pulled off whenever we were in Santa Fe, the one that blew.
Yeah. So I took it all the way down to the road, got that fixed, so that we could put that on, then take the whole trailer down to this place and just replace the two tires and
No, we replaced all four.
We didn't replace all four?
Yeah, we replaced they all needed to be done. They were all old. We're like and we got 14 ply tires, so we're not gonna have those issues anymore. But yeah, we had to replace they were all. So we're like just put all four on there. So we were there a couple more hours to get those done because they had to wait for them to get us in, and there's another $1,000 out. $250 per tire. They're good tires, and they're gonna last a while though. But yeah, so we got that fixed. We're like, okay, because we were going back to Texas. We decided, because our whole schedule got screwed up. We were gonna go over to Arizona and do the Grand Canyon later when things started cooling down and stuff, and then we were gonna work our way back into Texas before heading up to Arkansas for the holidays. But we had decided after everything happened, we wanted to go back to San Antonio for a couple weeks just because that had been our home base for 15 years, and we we had friends there. You know, we had our old jobs. We loved the people that I worked with. We had our favorite restaurants and stuff. We just needed someplace mentally where we felt safe. We knew a good RV park there. So we were going to head that way. So we're working our way. We finally get just about outside of New Mexico, and we're about to cross into Texas. And then the final shoe drops. We're like, man, we just cannot get out of New Mexico. We are...
Less than a mile.
It was like 200 feet. I could see
That's what I just
on
said,
my
less
thing.
than a mile.
And there is a railroad track that crosses the highway that we're on. Guess what happens?
What's that?
We have a long train that comes right as we're getting up there. So we get stuck there. We can see Texas. We're like, oh God, just let us get there, please. We finally, after the train goes by, we get into Texas, and we're all just like, thank you. That was the final FU for New Mexico. Going to be a while before we drive back through there, I think. Come to find out, like, the coworker, the lady who I trained to replace me at my job at work whenever I went up there, she's from New Mexico. And she's like, oh yeah, New Mexico, their motto is the Land of Enchantment. But everybody calls it the Land of Entrapment because something happens where you end up staying in New Mexico. I was like, yeah, that's what happened to us. So, yeah, I know a lot of people love New Mexico. I had a lot of fun there. No, not us. So
We enjoyed Balloon Fiesta.
yeah, we made it to San Antonio, and that's where we started healing a little bit more mentally, and got to see people, got to eat at our places, and just kind of just chilled and regrouped. Stayed at a couple of Thousand Trails parks. Finally, we hadn't even used our membership yet, but that's basically what we did until the holidays. We just kind of moved around to a couple of the Thousand Trails parks in Texas, that we could stay at for free and not spend any more money.
Right, and did just a reset for the new year.
Yeah, and I knew how to source in San Antonio. There's still a couple of good community sales that are going on right towards November? Like, it's still warm enough. Like, we went swimming when we were there. It was getting a little on the chillier side some days, but it was still pretty much in the 90s in some days. So, I was able to get caught back up the rest of the way. Rio Rancho had helped, and then I was able to get caught back up for good in San Antonio and when we were up at Medina Lake. But that's where we were at right before, I want to say it was towards the end of November. No, it was mid-November. Yeah. And then we headed up to Sherman, Texas, and then we went up into Arkansas. But yeah, that explains the whole situation about what happened. There's a lot that came after that, but it's more normal type stuff. Not great to have that kind of thing happen so soon into RVing, and we still have our base for like our emergency funds, because I told you in previous videos that we had over what we needed, but we were on vacation mode quite a bit, and all these extra expenses did kind of worry us a little bit, that we were starting to get close to our emergency funds, which are a full year's worth of income. So now we are kind of buckling down a lot more. We're trying to stay within Thousand Trails, and that's kind of what we're doing this next year. Is it's cheaper. We were staying in nothing but regular RV parks and stuff, trying to do bi-weekly stays to get the prices down. But we were up in the mountains, in the Mountain West, and there's not a whole lot of Thousand Trails parks there. So that's what we're working on this year, and trying to get our budgets under control and just get some money saved up. We're actually probably going to do some work camping over the summer, and maybe even do the beet harvest or something like that, just to kind of put some money back into savings, to give us some more cushion. But we'll talk more about stuff later. It's another video that ran long, so this is the end of part 2. And again, I always forget, like, subscribe if you like this kind of content. If this kind of thing has happened to you guys, I know we're not the only ones. Hopefully it did not happen to you guys in your first year. Let us know how you dealt with it, what happened to you, or just the good stuff too, because there's this is one of those bad things. This is real RV life. This kind of thing's going to happen. You can say you want to do whatever you can to minimize these types of things happening, but you never can completely.
You don't know till you
get them
know.
off the books.
And you learn from it and you go on.
Yeah, pretty much.
So.
But it was nice to have you finally too, actually talking in the video and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. Get the womanly perspective on this.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Y'all take it easy, and we'll see you next time.